G'day, I'm Patrick from Douglas Fur Design. Welcome to the Router Bits. I'm going to have a quick look at this finger jointing bit from Torquata today. The great reason to use these is, say you need to create a 6 metre long bench top, but you only have stock which is a lot shorter than that. You'll need to do a butt joint on the ends of the timber. And there's not many good ways of doing that kind of joint, but this is one way that makes a really strong joint, makes it look pretty seamless as long as you join it up correctly, and it's really simple. So this bit's pretty versatile in that it allows you to do finger joints on stock anywhere from about 13mm up to about 38. The stock I'm going to be messing around with today is 19mm. And so what you have to do is actually take off this top nut and rearrange these discs so that the thick one is at the top of the piece of the wood that you're using. When you first get this bit, that really thick cutter will be right at the top, and that allows you to cut something thicker like 38mm stock, and by bringing it down, that allows it to be more correctly located for 19mm stock. I'll just show you how to set that up further now. So when you unpack this bit, you notice that it has these 6 blades. It's got 5 that are thinner and then 1 that's thicker. And you need to basically move this around to match the thickness of timber that you're working with. At the moment it's set up to be used with 38, 40mm, something like that. And you'll notice that those blades cover the full width of a thicker, this is a 42mm piece of stock. But I actually want to be messing around with a piece of 19mm, so I need to set those blades so that they match that height more correctly. So what I'll be doing is undoing that nut. I had pre-loosened it, they're not normally that loose. And gently lift off that blade, as well as these 2 little washers, which I don't want to lose. Then I'm going to remove those next 3 blades and place that larger blade, the thicker one, with the thicker teeth, in the 3rd position. The reason I'm doing that is because that matches up with the height of this 19mm stock. Then I'm going to place these blades back on top so that I can put that nut back on, line it all up, get that nice and tight, and now we're ready to set the height of the whole bit into the table. The first step that we need to do is mark the center line of our piece of stock. I'm using 19, so that's a 9.5mm center, but you can really use anything. You're not stuck using standard thicknesses, it just happens to be what I have lying around. So I'm just going to use my little ruler here. That's perfect. And we're going to use that reference point to set the height. So what we do is lower this down. Alright, so what we need to do is set the height of this bit so that our center line lines up perfectly with the bottom edge of the middle tooth. Now I found when I was messing around with this earlier that even though I thought it was perfect, I had to do a test cut just to make sure, and I was a little fraction off the first time. So if you're working with timber that you don't want to mess up, it's really worth doing a test cut with this one. Alright, now that the height has been set, we just need to set the depth of the fence, and all we're going to do is set that to the bottom bearing. So I'm using a little ruler, pushing it hard up against that bearing, bring the fence forward until it makes contact, tighten off one side, and then do the micro adjustments on the other side so it's perfectly flush. And then lock that off. Okay, now that the height and the fence are set, I'm going to use some feather boards just to make sure that my piece is locked in place and make sure that height doesn't mess around when I'm pushing it through the machine. and make sure that the feather boards aren't going to get in the way of the blade, because I've done that before, destroyed a feather board. I'll also use my little cross-cut sled to ensure that I'm keeping that square against the fence the whole time as I'm pushing that through, and we're ready to go. Basically what we'll do is our first pass on our first piece will be this way, and then for our second piece it'll actually be the reverse, and that's how they join together. Alright, so right off the table, that is just such a smooth join. Gives you tons of surface area for glue and a really strong joint. And it's dead simple as long as you're careful with the measurements. Really, really nifty way to butt join timber that you know is going to stay together, and it looks really good too. You can grab these Torquata finger joint router bits from Timbecon, either online on their website or either of their stores in Perth and in Melbourne.